Welcome, one and all. In the vast landscape of American social justice movements, one name towers high, Reverend Dr. William J. Barber II. As the co-chair of the Poor People's Campaign, Barber has spent years advocating for the rights and welfare of America's most vulnerable citizens. The Poor People's Campaign, a revival of a movement started by Martin Luther King Jr. himself, aims to challenge the evils of systemic racism, poverty, and inequality. Yet, there's a glaring silence on one significant issue: the plight of injured workers. Across this great nation, countless individuals suffer from injuries sustained on the job, yet there's a lack of minimum federal oversight. In essence, injured workers are left to navigate a labyrinth of state-by-state regulations, often without the help they desperately need. In contrast to Reverend Barber's silence, Senator Bernie Sanders, Senator Patty Murray, and former Labor Secretary Tom Perez have all raised their voices. They've advocated for federal oversight, recognizing that injured workers, no matter where they live, deserve protection and assistance. It begs the question, why the silence, Reverend Barber? You've spoken before Congress, commanded the attention of millions, and yet this issue remains untouched. Imagine, if you will, the plight of an injured carpenter today. Would Jesus, the carpenter from Nazareth, not stand up for the rights of his fellow workers? It's a question worth pondering, Reverend Barber. Martin Luther King Jr., whose work you continue through the Poor People's Campaign, fought passionately for these causes. He knew the importance of standing up for the vulnerable, for those who could not fight for themselves. And so, we ask you, Reverend Barber, to do the same. Remember, the Poor People's Campaign isn't just about systemic racism, poverty, and inequality, it's about justice in all its forms. And justice for injured workers, Reverend Barber, is long overdue. So, we urge you, consult with your higher power. Think about the carpenter from Nazareth, consider the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr., and then use your platform, use your voice to stand up for injured workers. After all, isn't that what the Poor People's Campaign is all about? Ensuring that the vulnerable, the overlooked, and the downtrodden have a voice? We hope, Reverend Barber, that you'll give injured workers the voice they deserve. Remember, silence can be as loud as words. And right now, your silence on this issue is deafening. It's time to break the silence, Reverend Barber. It's time to stand up for injured workers.
Hello, my friends at the United Steelworkers Civil Rights and Human Rights Convention. This is your brother, the Reverend Dr. William J. Barber II. I'm president of Repairers of the Breach and co-chair of the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for a moral revival. Let me first say a word of thanks to our friend and brother Leo Gerard and his many, many years of serving as your president. His legacy is powerful and tremendous. And Leo, we thank you. I thank you personally for befriending me and for being a great supporter. And we really don't say you're retiring, you're kind of realigning yourself, because in the spiritual tradition, those who have served become elders of the movement so that they can continue to give advice and counsel to those that are yet on the front lines.
Howdy folks, my name is Darren Ray Fonso, and I'm talking about injured workers and labor and industries and workers' compensation, and how we need some minimum federal oversight to stop a class war on us that Senator Sanders and Patty Murray and Tom Perez all told us we needed as of 4 years ago. Yet today I have tried to get several people on the liberal left and our journalists to all stand up and fight for that minimum federal oversight Senator Sanders and Patty Murray all told us we need, yet nobody from the liberal left will put the minimum federal oversight on the table for the injured workers of America. And today, who I'm calling out is going to be Reverend Barber of this Poor People's Campaign, which claims to be getting our injured workers' voices heard and claims to getting fighting for Medicare for all, which is wrong. Kudos to them for that. Yet, when you fail to stand up and tell the injured workers of America that Section 801 of that Medicare for all bill harms us, then we need to address that. So anyways, today we're calling out Reverend Barber of the Poor People's Movement, or Poor People's Coalition, that seems to be standing up and getting our voices heard of the poor folks. And Reverend Barber, who goes to the U.S. Congress and speaks before our U.S. Congress, yet fails to say any word about the needed federal oversight for America's injured workers. So I'm going to confront Reverend Barber and his people today and ask them why that is. So we got 1-919-432-4103. Hi, is this the Poor People's Campaign? Or part of it?
This is Repair to the Breach. We are a co-sponsor.
Oh, okay. And so you're with Reverend Barber?
Yes, this is actually his organization.
Okay. Well, I have a question for Reverend Barber. Can I leave it with you?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I'm an injured worker from the state of Washington, and I've been begging for help for the injured workers across this country for some minimum federal oversight that Senator Sanders and Patty Murray and Tom Perez told us we need. And I'm wondering why the Reverend, as he spoke before Congress, isn't talking about this needed minimum federal oversight to stop a class war on America's injured workers.
Okay.
And if he knows that we have one garbage truck driver in America die on the job every day. And nobody's talking about that.
Okay. I can bring that information to his knowledge. Do you have, would you like an email where you can also contact and leave that information with us?
Sure. You can use my first and last name at yahoo.com. My first name is Darren, D-A-R-R-E-N. And my last name is Fonso. That's F as in Frank, O as in Oscar, N as in Nancy, Z as in zebra.
Slow down. My pen stopped working.
That's okay.
So you said Darren?